All right, welcome back to Anime Savants, everyone. This week, I am a Supreme Night Skin.
Oh, damn, we going deep today. This week, I am Kid Buu. And shout out to CJ the Champ putting Kid Buu at the head of the round table of Black Air Force activity, because I forgot.
Wait, what?
Yeah, bro, I forgot all the shit Kid Buu got up to in that last season of Dragon Ball Z. My God, what a savage.
When you say Black Air Forces, I can see that nigga wearing them. Like, I can see Kid Buu wearing them with pride and chaos. So yeah. So I'm gonna be straightforward, y'all. We really, I guess, aren't really covering anything this season except for Spy X Family. Like, that's just it. So that means we have the rest of the podcast is gonna be open forum. So send in your fucking recommendations on shit you want to hear us talk about, or if you want to come on the podcast and argue with us, you're more than welcome to. But me, myself, I'm just really not feeling a lot of the other stuff. That's just me personally. I'm still fucking with Kaguya, clearly. But, like, as far as the podcast and something that we're both into, that we're both going to be actively engaged in watching, it's Spy X Family. So
yeah, it's a disappointing season from that respect. I'm the same way. Like, I'm still watching Legend of Galactic Heroes, but number one, that's, if I were to recommend that to somebody, this is not the place to start.
Well, there's so much to catch up on.
Yeah, this is not the place to start at all. So this season is kind of going to be a wash as far as like Heroes fans to begin with. So that's cool. And then all the other stuff I'm watching, I'm watching it out of like casual interest, not like I have strong feelings about it. So I'm following on with Shield Hero just because. I'm kind of following on with quitting heroing just because. But these are not like we've covered enough. What I would. Yeah, like I don't like using the word like mid or mid-range, but we've covered these sort of like the middle class of anime seasons in the past for other series, because a lot of them actually had something unique to offer. I'm thinking like last season where it's sort of for me it was the duality between Genius Prince on one end and then How the Hero Rebuilt a Nation on the other end. And it's like, okay, these two shows, very relatively low budget, well written, they both express an interesting idea, they bring different things. So would I catapult them? Were they they weren't my favorite thing. We were watching Sabakuli Bisco and Vanitas and like those were definitely trying to make a statement, but those other shows were fine. I'm just not finding very much compelling in that second tier this season. I mean, obviously One Piece is going off, because it's the end of Wano and it's kind of tracking with the manga. So, I mean, like, that's cool. But I feel like everybody is kind of watching that or at least familiar with what's going on at some level if you're not a One Piece fan. So I don't get a lot out of, like, following that week to week because the animation is great. So I usually would just go back and, like, I'll just watch the whole arc. Boom, knock it out. Yeah. And then move on. I don't know about you, Jordan. If there's, like, this feeling of something is missing. Like, this season doesn't really have a sequel sort of tentpole offering on almost any of the genres, not just like action related stuff. But
there's nothing that like gives me, even if it's not just like a mainstream thing. I'm thinking of like Decadence, like how watching Decadence. Every episode, I was like, I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen next, but I'm definitely coming back next week. Like, there's nothing like that this season. I don't feel, except for Spy X Family, where even if I can guess what's gonna happen, it's so good that I'm like, I don't give a fuck, I'm gonna be here. So, like, it doesn't matter. But everything else, I'm just touching upon it, and it's not doing it for me. Now, I know a lot of y'all fucks heavily with Skeleton Knight. Y'all really do. I do not see it. I don't see it. But that's just me. That's just that's something for me to miss out on until maybe it'll be something similar to like how you did and then I did what was it? The demon school, demon shit.
Yeah.
Where like he returns. The one where you watched the first episode, you were like, absolutely fucking not. And then you randomly came back and was like, you know what? I actually watched up to this. I finished it and it wasn't that bad. So like,
if I hadn't had like work to do one day and it was on Crunchyroll, and I could just leave it on, I never would have come back. Like, because I was like, I'm not gonna pay attention to this. Like, whatever. Let's see how bad it can get. And that did change my mind. And I'm not saying that these series this year are bad or this season are bad.
Yeah.
But like, I give you a perfect example. Like Tomodachi Game, I went into that series completely blind. The studio behind it seemed, halfway decent. Or at least the people at the studio. I think it's new. Okurudo Noburo. I think it's a new studio. But some of the people who are involved with it, I was like, oh, okay, I'm interested to see where this is going. And I was checked out within 5 minutes. And it was like a show like that.
People are saying it's popping off in the third episode, so I will be checking that out.
God. Oh, but that means I have to get through whatever stupid shit happens in
okay.
episode 1.
You don't have to. I will do something. I will definitely be checking it out. And then if I'm like, okay, nigga, no, you actually have to, then, you take your time getting there and we can discuss it when we get there. But yeah, no, it's with Tomodachi Game. There is another one that I am interested in, but I'm not really sure you would be interested in it. Like Summertime Rendering. I enjoyed the first episode. I was screaming near the end. At the end, I was screaming. So that's
I'll give anything a shot. That's the thing is that I went specifically this season knowing that there really wasn't going to be a heck of a lot to offer, at least for my direct interest. So I watched a lot of like first episodes of series that I normally would not give the time of day to, and I'm thinking specifically about my experience with Black Rock Shooter, because that I knew couldn't be good. And I didn't go in like hate watching. I just went in like, all right, let's see what you got. And I was just shocked and not in a good way. And a lot of the other stuff, it's like, no, I'm not, I don't hate what I'm seeing at all. It's just, it didn't move me to want to recommend it to somebody else. Exactly. And I think that's a lot of the way I view what we do on the podcast is not specifically our individual taste, because I can go on and on forever. Like I'm watching Kingdom on the side, and I always recommend Kingdom. I think it's great. I watch other things on the side, but they're for fans of of that genre and usually just those franchises very strongly. There's not much else. Like if you're into space operas, there are no space operas really in anime that are getting produced other than Legend of Galactic Heroes. So you're either in already or you're out. If you want historical drama, whatever, like Kingdom is there. There is literally nothing else being produced that's anything like it. At all. So you're either in or you're out. And I think this show is an opportunity to look at some of the things that are in between, like that kind of genre heavy stuff, and then also the most sort of popular stuff.
Because that's where you can find gems.
Boruto, right?
Oh my god! Do you know how drowned out it would be? It's not even just about like making it a niche thing. It's just more so like being open to other shit beyond shonen and the traditional stuff. So like,
right.
And that's a lot of the shit that we have watched, because there's so much shit beyond shonen.
I may watch Comey at this point.
This season. Oh, well, I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. I'll give you that. It's not bad. It's good. I would not compare it. Well, actually, no, let me be quiet, because I haven't finished the first season. So let me be quiet. Let me not say that. Let me finish the first season to get into the second season. But it's definitely up there with like Horror Mia. And,
that's what I've heard.
And oh Lord, Dress Up Darling. Oh my goodness, forgetting this shit already. That shit is okay. Well, I'll hit that in news anyway. Spy X Family. Fucking great episode. What's homegirl? What's blonde bitch name? Camila.
Yeah.
Get fucked, bitch. Get fucked. This is one of my favorite things about a show. When I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh no, bitch, you gonna get your just desserts. And then they give it to me within like 5 minutes. And I'm just like, oh. And it wasn't even disrespectful. It was like, you did that to yourself. Mm-hmm. You did it to yourself. I love
this series, man.
I love what is it? Yor, right?
Yeah, or Anya. The little girl, the wife. The wife. Yeah, Yor.
Yeah. I love her personality. I love it so much. She's not like over the top, like, I'm an assassin bitch and I'm like, I gotta like put on a facade. She's literally just like, I'm just trying to live. Like, I'm just trying to chill. I'm just trying to live. This assassin shit's just like on the side. I just so happen to be trained like as a child, but like that does not make up my whole life. She got co-workers that's talking shit to her in her face, and she's kind of just like, okay, like, what you want me? I could kill you bitches, but I won't. So like, what we gonna do? Like, I'm not fazed by it. Like, I don't know. The character's multifaceted already in one episode. And then also, even though the episode didn't even focus on Anya, all of her one-liners was fucking hilarious. I'm being taken to slavery.
Like, he was like, girl, don't you be talking like that. Oh, man. So the thing I appreciated in the manga, and it really comes through well in these character introductions, is that it would be very easy to take the premise for this show and essentially write Yor very similar to Lloyd. It would be very similar, very easy to do that, right? Because she has this like double identity. She's like this cold-blooded assassin, very competent, everything else. So you could set up the story such that even though their titles are the same, are different. One is a spy, one is an assassin. The fact that they both have the secret identity to cover up, you could kind of give them the same cover story on top. Like, oh, I'm going to pretend to be a regular person. And then underneath, I am this like very calculated, individual. And maybe the comedy of the series is that they are both very similar, and they're both lying to each other, but they're both getting into it. Instead, what they do is that they give Lloyd the very, like, I don't want to say like autistic, but like, he is a person who has shut off a large part of his own life. So he's not like emotionally available, but he is a very calculating person, and also one who like misunderstands social cues and tries to resolve them through his spyness, his experience as a spy, and his studiousness. He'll read books, he will study his targets, he will try to guess what they're going to do. Like, he's very cerebral. Yor is kind of not quite the inverse of his character, but like her cover story is her actual real life. She wants to work at a normal job. She doesn't really have a lot of ambitions. She's very sensitive to like social standing and embarrassment, because she has a living family, her brother, that trying to like not reveal her other life is really more to save his feelings than it necessarily is like an imperative that she's trying to follow because she might die. Like Lloyd's situation, if he gets caught out, he's going to be killed because of this like spy world that they live in. Like, he is a legendary spy. Yor is just out here murking folks, just left and right, just dropping bodies. And it's just, that's her real job, but her day-to-day life is not necessarily a cover story. So that's why when they get together, it is so much more interesting than, the other way you could have rolled that premise, because they are both being honest and deceptive at the same time with each other, but about different things on different wavelengths. Right? And because they're both also, like, everyone in this show is kind of insane. So because they're crazy, the scenes that are actually wacky, like for example, when when the whole car chase where like Lloyd is being tailed by all the people from the op that he ran, and he's trying to explain to Yor that like, oh, like these are just my patients who have gone crazy, and I'm doing like kinetic therapy by beating the shit out of them, and she is so like wants this to work that she just goes along with it, not because she's stupid, like she's just like, well, I guess that's pretty wild. Like, but I need this guy. So, like, whatever you say, yeah, sure. Can I help? Like, what's going on? So then you get like that ridiculous scene where after like the guys pull out guns and they're like hiding behind the box, and he's still trying to like roll with the idea that this is all this is like medicine or something, and then the guys run up on her and she like kicks the shit out of him, and then someone throws a grenade, and then they like or he throws a grenade after like using the pin to propose to her, and it's like, that is such a silly scene.
It was like so stupid.
It's so dumb, but it actually works because both characters are trying to lie on different wavelengths, and they're just like, this is perfect. Yeah, sure. Because if it had been the other way, if it had been like, oh, Yor was also kind of like having a hidden identity, and she's very calculated, so she's seen through everything that like Lloyd is doing, but now she's like, oh, I need it for the cover, so I'm just gonna act like a ditz and say yes to this. It would still work from a storytelling point of view, but instead the fact that they're both goofballs at the end of the day is why it's so endearing that this all comes together, right? Because otherwise you'd be like, this is fucking dumb, and they should know better. Like, come on, really?
I mean, that was perfect. I don't know if I have anything else to say. That was a perfect encapsulation of the episode, y'all. It's so
Anya
good.
In the beginning was great, though.
I won't accept you as my mother. Like,
I was wondering when I was reading that scene originally. They go to the so the setup, of course, is that Lloyd needs to show up with a wife, which is a weird requirement for this fucking school. But again, it's full of weirdos anyway. Like everyone's crazy, so he needs a wife. And so he does it his way at first. Remember, like the show opens with the informant dude dressed up like a woman, and he's like, "Bro, this ain't gonna work. Like, we need to do this the hard way." And then he gets like all the single women, in the city, which is kind of fucking wild that he's out here trying to run like Tinder on paper, right? And I was like, "Bro, come on, this ain't gonna work." And then, so it winds up being the case that Yor and Lloyd run into each other by happenstance. Yor is there to get her dress fixed from fucking murdering like 25 people. Like it was nothing.
But moves around like an assassin, so she stood out immediately to him.
Yeah, he was like, oh, she's in my blind spot. How'd that happen?
And he wasn't even looking at her, and she was like, you gonna keep staring at me? And I'm like, girl, that made it even more obvious. Like,
and then she's so oblivious, or not oblivious, but like human relationships are so hard for her to deal with that she's like, oh, he's looking at me, is this the one, could this be the one? And she's like running down her list in her own head right, and then like, of course, the only one who knows what's happening is actually Anya. Right? Yes. She's the only one who knows what's going on. So then she's like, ooh, because Yor says she's an assassin. She's like, assassin? Spy? So Anya's like getting fucking excited. So she's like, all right, how do I make this work? And they start talking to each other. And then it's like, oh, you have a daughter. Oh, no, he's married. I don't want to get... What did she say? She said something like, I've heard that spouses get violent. Like over people talking, and I'm thinking to myself, like, she's in her like human brain, but she's also an assassin. She could kill anybody who came after her, but she's like, oh, I don't want that kind of smoke. Like, I was like, for real.
But she wanted smoke at the party after a certain bit.
Yo, really, talk to him. So then Anya kind of play acts and sets them up for this date, and of course, both of them are. Again, they're goofballs, and they're also kind of desperate at this point. So the idea that their propositions to each other kind of mirrored, where like Yor is trying to look good for her brother and not look like her life is falling apart, and Lloyd is needs someone to stand in. So it worked. Everything kind of worked. So I just really like this show. I just like the show a lot. I like the characters a lot. I think it's cute enough when it wants to be, but also there's a lot of consequence. How'd you feel about when during like that operation where like they have that shot of Lloyd fighting all the guys coming out of the alley, and that was the first time like it got really comedic for me in the physical violence in the episode, because he's like doing moves and shit. And
I actually thought that was really interesting, the way that they animated it, how like it wasn't like fully in shot. It was like kind of off in the background, but you could see his body just like flipping and just like knocking niggas out. I thought that was cool. But I thought the craziest part was like him showing up to the party just like bloody,
covered in blood,
like still bleeding, and I was just like, bruh. Which also goes to show that like how Yor didn't even flinch at the shit and was just like, nope, all right, we doing this. We doing this.
Right, let's go, bro.
Like we doing this.
It's game time. I'm not out here about to make my brother look bad. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean it's great. I look forward to it every week. Like every Saturday, I'm just like, let me sit down and watch this shit before somebody tries to spoil something. Like, let's
True.
go.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm like, hold up. Where's my Spy Family? I need this shit right now. And
But
yeah, overall, a lot of fun. Since that's the only thing that we watched together, what did you watch this week?
I watched Kaguya-sama. It was great. I watched Shikimori, which is also great, but I also see why people really don't fuck with it. I watched Summertime Rendering, and that shit, like, it's definitely like, it was like, you know, a little bit of like rumbling in the beginning, like there were a lot of hints, and then the last like 10 seconds, it was just like, I was like, oh my god. Wow. And Disney, y'all animated it too. So, wow. But I can't wait for next week. I can't wait to see what we're going to be doing and how this is going to get solved. And apparently a sequel just got announced.
Oh, really?
A sequel manga that's going to be based in Tokyo, not on the island. So, that's a whole other thing to look forward to once this is done. But I very much so enjoyed that. I would like for you to, I want you to watch first episode and then we can talk about it later.
Oh,
like you have to watch it like next week or whatever, but like whenever you get around to it, because I want to know your thoughts on it compared to like Steins Gate. And like because it gave me kind of like a Steins Gate feeling vibe. Not to say that that's the topic that it deals with, but the fact that like there's a lot of information being given to you that you don't know what to use, how or why it's important yet, but you see it and you know that it's important. You just can't put it together yet. So like that became very obvious at the end of the episode. So I was like, oh shit. Like, okay. But yeah, I enjoyed that one.
Besides some of the other series we talked about, this is sort of going back maybe 2 weeks ago. I started watching the sub or the original Japanese language version of the Shenmue series that's currently running on Adult Swim. So that's been going for a while. I think it's kind of at the end of the season is wrapping up. It's actually pretty good, and I didn't want to watch the dub because I just wanted to see sort of like how it holds up in in its original language and everything else, and it's much better than I gave it credit for looking at some of the clips that I had seen. Probably one of the reasons I was a big Shenmue fan. I played on the original Dreamcast. I'm very familiar with the story, but one of the challenges in that game is that all of the storytelling is told in the present, with the principal cast, i.e. there's no way to cut away to something that's happening. You only kind of know what the main character knows, right? And so what the anime does is that it fills in a lot of the gaps with respect to like the Hazuki Dojo and the events that lead up to the death that kind of launches the show's plot going forward. So you actually get to know a lot of the characters in a more organic way, and which is interesting because Shenmue is I wouldn't say it's a long game, but it's a decently well-sized RPG. And so normally when you get that kind of adaptation, the instinct is to compress and condense content. It's not necessarily to add anything else, or if you're adding things, it's sort of like a lot of fan service related stuff. So I think that it's actually a lot better than I probably gave it credit for. And if the dub is any good, I would probably recommend people just, it's on TV. You can watch it. It's also on Crunchyroll. But
it's on Crunchyroll. It's probably okay.
Because it's a co-production between Crunchyroll and Toonami. So, I think that experience is probably I always want to go back to that feeling of when I was watching Adult Swim back in the day, and you get introduced to a show and these American voice or English voice actors, and they really care. I feel like this could be a good show to watch in that context. So if folks are not currently watching it as it was airing, I would say go back and probably, the sub is good, or the Japanese language version is good. The dub is, I don't know yet, so I have no recommendation there, but I think if this is any indication of what they put into this series, it's probably worthwhile. So yeah, I watched that. Also caught up on I'm Quitting Heroing, which I enjoy, and I enjoy it with an asterisk in that this show, in a lot like the sort of Kingdom Builder series that we've covered in previous seasons, pretends to sort of be like a fantasy, not even really a harem because there's like a wide range of like secondary cast members, but there's like cute girls, and then there's like a fantasy setting with an overpowered main character, and you're like, okay, here we go, a lot of wish fulfillment. It's really about running a business. That's what each episode. Yeah, so the concept.
Oh, like running the country in a sense.
Well, not even, because it's really the Demon King's army is in disrepair after the main character whooped their asses single-handedly.
And then he came and like met everybody that he fucked up, and like all the people
right. And so now you're like, you realize that they're not bad guys. They're all kind of goofy or overworked, or like they're not being given either the correct task for their interest and capability, or they are just too overworked in that to be good at it. And so the structure of the show is the hero main character coming along and using his experience working by himself because he is so powerful. All the things that like he realized he wished he had kind of learned to do by having a real party and real friends are lessons that he's passing on to the demon army, to get it out of like financial trouble, to get it to work efficiently, to like improve the lives of the principal generals, who are all sort of the main supporting cast members. And then along the way there's a kind of like a little bit of romance, there's plenty of comedy. It's not like a big budget show, but there are some satisfying events that happened in the first now 3 episodes that have aired, where it's like, this guy, he's kind of a cheeky character, and so like they play a lot of things for fun, and of course he's so overpowered physically that most of there's never really like a threat, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, how's he gonna overcome this dangerous challenge? It's more like, oh, the danger is the subordinates not being good at their job or not being led well. So it's really like an office comedy posing as a action fantasy story. Is that enough for me to recommend it to anyone who's like not into that aesthetic? Probably not, but I chuckle when I watch it, and I'm not offended by the ideas that it's trying to communicate. Okay. And it does it like, each episode more or less gets through some idea, and then you get on to the next thing. So that's about the stretch of what I'm typically watching. I mean, I mean to go back, and somebody told me that there was some shit that happened in Black Rock Shooter episode 3.
Oh my god, are you serious?
Somebody told me, and they were very cryptic about what it was, and I'm weighing whether I have the passion or the energy to like watch enough of that episode, because apparently that character, the robot with the robot dick, is like all over this episode, and it starts with like him chasing around another half naked girl, and I'm like, all right, I don't know, bro. I don't know. Disney is on some other shit. Somebody needs to talk to them.
Whoever, maybe somebody about to lose their job. Who knows? They're being boycotted right now. They might as well pivot.
Right, I know. I didn't think about that.
Well.
Listen, you want to give ammo to those Florida Republicans? Show them the first episode of Black Rock Shooter on Disney Plus.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a problem in like 5 years. Somebody's gonna dig that shit up and be like, "You had this in 2020."
The irony is that because nobody's watching it, they're probably not catching it.
They're not gonna catch it. It's gonna come up later, and then they're gonna be like, "And this is when we were campaigning against you, and look what you were doing. You were feeding to our children."
Right? Oh my god. I read that like somewhere. Some person was making an argument like, why why Disney, needs to like lose all its privileges in Florida because 30 years ago or whatever, when they made family entertainment, they made it for everybody, i.e. like straight white
only
Christian, conservative Christian family values, right? This is a little extreme though, like it's a bit much. I'll give them that. This is very far beyond the beaten path of what I thought they'd fund, not just like put on their streaming platform, but they were like, yeah, we're gonna pay for this. Outrageous.
And the first iteration wasn't even like that, so I don't know where the fuck this came from.
I don't know either.
Somebody's wet dream, probably.
Oh yeah.
Boop.
Okay, you want to get into the news and general topics?
Sure. Somehow, and I don't know how, but I guess we'll find out how. But in another world, with my smartphone is getting a second season.
I missed the first season.
I saw the first season out of boredom.
Good? Oh no! Never mind.
No, it wasn't good. It's isekai trash. But I was in the mood for isekai trash in the moment. So I was just like, let me see what these other isekai are doing. And I sat down one day and I was just in bed and I was like, let me just finish this shit. Like, let's just get all the way through it. Let me see if there's anything interesting. And it did things, but it wasn't like, oh my God. It was just kind of just like, this is isekai trash. Like, that's all. What
was that vending machine isekai or whatever it is?
I don't know. Did that get greenlit already?
I've been reincarnated as a vending machine. I'm just saying, like, from a story point of view, like, what are we doing? That's a whole nother thing. We are just out of ideas.
What else is there? Code Geass has a gacha game. I'm assuming coming out. But
this cannot be the first one. This gotta be like the fifth one.
Yeah, but the only reason I care about it is because there's an original anime opening and Flo is singing it again. So I'm like, okay,
do that.
So like Flo, I'll take it.
Did you see the intro or hear of the intro to the new? There's a Gundam gacha game. I don't know if
there's so many of them. Which one?
It's a new. Well, I don't know. It's a fucking new one. Cause I was. It came out maybe like a couple months ago, so I missed this. But I was like browsing, and I'm like looking at this some beautiful ass animation. I'm like, what Gundam is this? What is this? And then I look at the bottom. It's like, it was like 10. It was like a cutscene. It was like a fucking 8-minute long cutscene.
Oh, that was like the intro to the game. Like,
yeah, I was like, bro, what the fuck?
Oh, okay. Well, see that. Well, of course they would invest money into that because that's what's making them a shit ton of money. I can see that already. Honestly, if they could bring the whatchamacallit, like the gun. Well, they do have like a Gunpla gacha game, but if they could actually make it like good, they can make so much more money off of that. But they're making a shit ton of money with the bare minimum. So that is what that is. I would say, I guess like the highlight of the week for me is that or not the week, but some of the most recent news is Cherry Maho, the BL, the one that's getting the movie adaptation. Well, I think it's an adaptation, or is it just like a movie continuation? Anyways, the creator is donating part of the adaptation like rights fee to Marriage Equality Japan. So like, I'm like, wow. I mean, she honestly didn't have to do that at all, but that's just, what a fucking cool thing. Like, I thought that was just really fucking cool of her to do. Especially because it's so fucking popular. It's like, why not do a snowball effect and just basically be like, hey, you niggas are going out and watching it, so what's the problem?
Well, the problem is the deeply conservative society that they all live in. That's the problem.
Then why y'all giving them money?
It's a good thing. Yeah, right. But you know how it goes, right? The harder that culture pushes against something, the more likely it is that there's a lot of energy for that thing underneath the covers. One way or the other. So.
And then this is personally my biggest news of the week. I don't know what the fuck's going on over at Nintendo, but Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is coming out early, and it's just weeb as fuck. It's weeb as fuck. Did you see that new trailer?
Yes.
It's literally niggas transforming into giant biomechas.
Yeah.
Like they fuse into giant biomechas because of feelings.
Why not?
It's Back Arrow.
Why not? Let's do it again. Let's go.
I'm ready. It's July now. It's not September. Give it. Wow. I'm actually so like shocked. When was the last time a game's release date got moved up? Like they were like, this shit's ready, take it.
I mean, that's either a very good sign or a very troubling sign, and I don't know. I want to believe it's good news because it's so unusual.
I think it's good news because none of the Xenoblades have flopped once they released. Like none of them. Like Monolith Soft don't do that shit. I feel like
I personally agree with you. I think that in general, I've never had any worries about any Monolith Soft game at all. I mean, also they have a lot of content. That's the other side. Is like, it could be a lot. Like if it was another game, I would worry about things like polish and everything else. Xenoblade 3 is going to give if you're into it, that's like hundreds of hours of entertainment. If you try to max everything out, you do New Game Plus.
Oh shit! Well, no, let me not say that. But whatever. Okay, I'm not gonna say that. But y'all should go play the first 2 games. Okay.
That's a lot, though.
Well, you got time. You got 2 and 2/4 of a month. That gives you a little bit of time for both of them. I don't know. That's my news that's my anime news for the
okay.
I mean, I don't really know what else. Like that's weeb shit. Like Xenoblade is weeb shit. Like
no, I'm with you.
If you play through the fucking game, it's literally anime tropes. The game.
Well, this is we're stalling for the real topic, but I'm gonna raise a couple others before we get there. So on the games tip, we've got like Sega announcing their plan to release reboots to what they're calling like their air quotes like Big Four series, which include the Dreamcast and arcade classics like Crazy Taxi and my personal favorite Jet Set Radio. This is wild to me because Sega's kind of been on a low-key tear the last like year and a half, that when you go all the way back to the good Sonic games that they've like Sonic Mania, all that stuff, all the way to the announcement of Sonic Origins. And then a lot of fans have been saying like, this is the time to do or to lean into remasters of a lot of these like Dreamcast era Sega IPs that never really had a chance to live anywhere else. And on the wish list for a lot of people, Jet Set Radio and Crazy Taxi. Now these are the internally developed Dreamcast titles. I think they both were AM2, which is a studio in under Sega. Gave a lot of classics. Now, for me, in addition to this stuff, there's also like the Capcom fighting game collection. They've released now a updated version of almost every fighting game that's been in the Capcom library prior to the Dreamcast era. So there's a lot of 3D Dreamcast era games that should come back. And I'm just hoping that like other companies that were developing for that platform take the lead. Like if we can get we're not talking about like a remaster, a brand new big budget reboot of something like a Jet Set Radio. Bro, how come we can't get Power Stone to come back? This would be the perfect moment, especially with like how popular Smash Brothers is. Like give me some Power Stone, give me some Tech Romancer, give me some I don't know, Plasma Sword. Like those some good shit. So I'm just happy to see that. In addition, there have been some other previews that have dropped in the last 2 weeks, some of which we did not necessarily talk about, and some of whatever kind of slipped on the radar. Demon Slayer had its announcement trailer for the Swordsmith Village arc. They didn't put any new footage. There were a couple of like there was a little bit. There was a little bit of new footage of like the swordsmiths working, and then a lot of the audio from the VAs from the season. And anyone who's finished the series knows that this is a sick arc. I don't want to prejudice people because a lot of people felt like the final arc went on too long and it was just like thing after thing after thing. Swordsmith Village is kind of one of the better paced arcs before we get there. I'm not saying how long we got till we get to the end, but like this one is pretty tight. Is it my favorite? Well, I mean, it doesn't have Tengen for obvious reasons, so no, it's not my favorite. It's quite good. And yeah, so we got that bit. There were some teaser images dropped from what is likely the next season of Jujutsu Kaisen. This was probably a week and a half ago. Yeah, no video. It was just some non-manga black and white probably concepts or so.
Okay.
So yeah, so nothing from the actual series. That's cool stuff. There's been some more rumblings about the state of the Bleach anime, but like again, no. It's all good news. Things
they better, I was like, they better start speaking up. September's almost here. Like, what are y'all doing? Don't do this.
I assume that the rollout will start in
Summer
July.
Season.
Yeah, it'll be like around July. We'll start to see and hear more from it, and I expect that to blow everyone's socks off. But it's funny because I watched. If you watch Jujutsu Kaisen 0, one of the things I heard from folks who are super fans is that they felt like the quality of the animation was great, but it, air quotes, wasn't that much better than the show. That's because the show is fucking gorgeous, bro. Like, that's why it looks so similar. You know, some of the bigger panning shots, some of the CGI is good stuff, but like the reason why it doesn't look wildly different is because they already spend a shit ton of money on the show. So I expect season 2 to be perfectly fine.
People just want something to complain about. Like, come on.
If that is your complaint, then you're doing good in life. Life is going well for you. Besides that, I guess we have to talk about the elephant in the room.
I mean, literal elephant trunks.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say it. You could say it.
Well, I mean, does it really need a story? Last year, we discussed the release of a manga that I ran across called Dick Fight Island. And of course, the name is what got me. I mean, this ain't something I'm not in the BL space. I didn't even know it was a BL thing, but it had to be. Because what else? What else could it be? But, you know, I thought it was, like, funny, and it was doing some numbers in Japan, and it probably as much of a meme back then, you know, with, you know, it being a newer series than anything else. Well, Dick Fight Island has finally made it across the Pacific Ocean. It's landed on our shores. It's been localized and released on both digital platforms and Barnes and Nobles, and this got the attention of Twitter,
Kino Kanuya,
who noted that since Barnes and Nobles is recommending it in live and in public, I mean, also it could probably catch all sorts of cosigns. So people were memeing, they were going crazy, and I guess the meme that really blew up was SpongeBob SquarePants, you know, memer template with the Squidward sweaty head and the Dick Fight Island cover, which is its own interesting situation.
There are multiples. There are multiples. So shit blew up, and of course, when something blows up on Twitter about anything, you know, of the culture, of course, then Dick Fight Island rose to the top of the Amazon bestsellers list in the yaoi category. Again. I mean, so that means it's volume 1 and 2 are now both bestsellers. It's great. I've read volume 1. So first of all, just to let everyone know, it was not named Dick Fight Island originally. It was named 8 Warriors. So someone in America...
What an unhelpful name!
Someone in America made the decision to basically be like, it's Dick Fight Island now.
It's fucking Dick Fight Island.
Dick Fight Island now. Or whoever did like the English translation, they were just like, let's call this shit Dick Fight Island.
What a fucking hero.
Another point is like the author Ike Raybun, they've been around for years in the BL community. Like years. Like their shit's good. And they have like a particular drawing style. They typically do like, you know, more like lean, fit, athletic men with like, decent stories, etc., etc. But the smut be there. I will say, if you are interested in reading Dick Fight Island, the first volume is actually not that smutty. Compared to other BL stuff. And basically the premise is there's this group of islands and these 8 tribes of like men or whatever like live there. Well, not only men, but like, 8 tribes of like men and women, and like men are the leaders and shit like that, etc., etc. And I think every 4 years there's a competition to decide which tribe is going to be in charge of ruling and like dealing with the outside world and shit like that for everyone else. So the main character is someone who got into an exchange program, went and lived in, what's assuming like a Japan or whatever. And then comes back. Now that I'm saying it out loud, oh shit. Okay. Comes back to the island, and the goal of like the big like dick things is that the way that you win is you have to make the other person nut.
Okay.
Yeah. So you gotta break their armor.
Uh-huh.
And then you have to make them nut.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And there's one thing that the main character knows, because he went off the island and participated in the modern day world that they weren't even fucking with on the island. And I'm just leave that up to y'all's imagination on what it was that he found out.
I don't want to know. I do not.
That's kind of where I believe like volume 1-esque like ends. So like I don't think it's like over. I'm not really sure where volume 2 is gonna go into, but I feel it's gonna have 1 million volumes now. It's over. It's that they are. If it's done this twice,
how could there be 2 volumes? Sorry. Nope. Go ahead.
I mean, I told you the first volume wasn't that smutty, so that means that Ike was like, "Oh, they like this shit, man. We ain't even got to do the tournament no more. You talking about? Let's go." So, yeah. That's just another drop in the bucket of BL. But that's the thing, though. This isn't the kind of BL that people would regularly like recommend to people. Like, I would recommend Given, like the music BL, where it's like there's a literal like not to say that Dick Fight Island doesn't have a plot. It has a plot, but like
I'm sure there's a plot.
But it's like it's like the most. It's like plot, and then it's like plot, okay, and then it's like plot. Yeah, it's like that. Given has a plot where it's like it's literally the BL is there, but it's not the main focus. So it's like the music is there, and then everything kind of intertwines very well to where it's just like, well, damn, this is actually great all around. Like, not just about them, doing things. And then I'm not gonna spoil that for y'all. But the first season of Given and like shit like that, like the vibes of those vibes are just like the complete polar opposite of Dick Fight Island. So the fact that like someone just knew what they were doing. That's all it was. Someone on the translation team was like the 8 warriors. But they have these like, big penis things.
That ain't it. They
have
selling these 8 warriors.
They have these big penis things. Why would we call it the 8 warriors? Let's call it Dick Fight Island. And it's like,
let's go.
Yeah, let's call it Dick Fight Island. And it's like, it makes sense because that's literally what they're doing. They're fighting with their dick armor. So, oh my god.
Yeah. Okay.
This sounds. Oh my goodness.
But it's what it is. You can't say it's sad. You didn't write this. This wasn't your idea. I gotta own that, okay? That's all them.
Just like having it come out of my mouth, like in my head, I'm just so accustomed to just like insane BL plot lines. Just like insane shit. They're like this was not surprising to me, but I think it's the mainstream part of it, and like having it to it's like I usually type or some shit. I don't usually like talk about BL plot lines like through my own mouth. So I feel like there's a difference between just like, you know, typing it and then thinking it and being like, yeah, that's pretty normal. But then when you're talking to people who have no
this isn't where I would start. You know what I mean? If you were trying to get people interested in, say, like just the yaoi genre or the BL genre,
no, you cannot start.
You don't jump off the boat with Dick Fight Island. That's not where you start.
A lot of people probably have now though, because it's trending so hard. So to those people, I'm sorry. This is not. It's not the norm. I promise. But there's plenty more of it like this if you want it.
So, the reason why I wanted to talk about this just a little bit was because as wacky as this series is, and you know, no one is taking this seriously. I think it's memed for a reason.
Yes,
but as wacky as it is, there's a non-zero chance that this gets an anime.
Oh, it's guaranteed.
What was that one? The butt battle thing. What was that one?
Keijo?
With the girls? Keijo, right. If Keijo can get an adaptation, if that other weird one with like rock climbing, but it's like battle rock climbing with like sweaty girls.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, I remember. Yeah.
If that horrible piece of shit can get an anime, this could get 3 episodes, like a ONA. It could happen.
I think this can get the Titan's Bride treatment, to be honest. Because,
I forgot that. Yes, yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, it can get Titan's Bride treatment because the majority of the stuff, it's you know, scantily clad men fighting.
But it's like presented like a shonen, probably, right?
But
am I wrong about that?
Exactly. It's a shonen format of like leading up to the tournament and like, oh, these two have a history. And it's like, yeah, they're gonna fuck, whatever. Anyways, like it's just. Yeah, that's just how it is.
They gonna get. I mean, I make that grimace because it's like, can't there be more? Can we do a little more than that?
I mean, I don't know.
Okay, all right.
I would like to say yes, but I've read too many BL. Like this is just not for the mainstream audience. It's just not for them. It's for the niggas who looking for smut. Like that's just what it is. Like,
and I don't look down on that audience. I'm a part of that audience in some way, but I will just say that I am not surprised that there probably is a legitimate fan base for this series. Like, beyond the memes. Like, you know, exposure is one thing. All these jokes aside, it's gotten, like, more exposure than I ever would have thought. And probably made a little chunk of change. So, again, I wouldn't be shocked if we're sitting here a year from now talking about, Dick Fight Island has gotten anime or has been announced. Like I've seen such many worse things with less of a profit possibility get greenlit to write this one off.
Well, I'm just gonna let you know that it's probably definitely going nowhere because even though the plot is like damn near non-existent, comparing it to other BL that like focus around, you know, like the drama of living through everyday life or like the modern world, or you know, oh, I got transported to another world and a giant wants to fuck me, like like
I like that. Oh no! Like, yeah, like, what an inconvenience.
Like, where do you even think of that? But like, anyways, yeah, you know, everybody got their own
correct
their own stuff. Yeah,
it happens not to be mine.
In the process of
somebody's.
This, Ike did something crazy good, which was like he expounded upon like each of the 8 tribes, like customs, who they were. No,
it's got lore. It's got serious lore.
It's got actual lore.
Shit.
Because that was one of the driving forces between like the competition between several of the men of the 8 warriors. Because each tribe picks one warrior to compete in the competition. So all the warriors came through and, you know, all that kind of shit like that. It's just, so I'm looking at it from a point where I'm just like, yeah, he can literally just like keep this going. It doesn't even have to be about the main character that he already brought in. He can make it a new person that's just like, that lives on the islands.
God damn.
And it's like training for the next competition in 4 years. That's what it could be.
I hate that this is. Well, I don't hate
loop.
that it could be.
It can just loop. It can just loop, and they're gonna eat it up. I'm gonna read it, but they're gonna eat it up. Like it's a.
Well, you heard it here.
Cow.
We're projecting big things for the Dick Fight Island franchise. And
I mean, well, it's making money. You cannot deny.
You right.
You cannot deny that. Like, they're literally over there in Japan. And they're just like, shit, this is making so much money, but it's fucking like gay niggas. Like, do we really want to invest in it? They're like, nigga,
you better
like get that printing press. Ike, get your nigga. Where's the transcript? What are you doing? We need volume 4 tomorrow.
Yep, like you fucking better do it.
Yeah, like it's coming through. Which I will give Ike this though, like he does have other BL series that are long form that are also good. So who's to say that like he might not try to like I believe Ike is.
This reminds me exactly of like the situation with the Redo of Healer author. He had a bunch of other, like he had a lot of series,
but the trash is what took off.
Right, exactly, and that then led to those other series getting optioned as well. So,
well, then actually, I would enjoy that. I would like that if like Dick Fight Island takes off and they like adapt some of the Ike's other things, because one thing I like about Ike is that he tends to focus on like young adults and like middle-aged men, not like teens. So that's always
maybe
like
we could come back to this as maybe like what a recommendation for where to start with his work that isn't Dick Fight Island, because I said this doesn't feel like something that you would jump. This is where you jump in.
No,
somewhere else in his his catalog would be a better place to jump in than this. Yeah.
I agree. But yeah, he has been around for a long time, so he's got stuff under his belt. Or I'm gonna say they, because I'm not sure if it's like a pen name, a pseudonym for a woman. Yeah,
it could be a pseudonym as well.
Yeah. But there are a lot of like gay mangaka who do BL, but like it also depends like what kind, because there are the subgenres of BL, etc. I'm not doing all that. There's an episode about that already.
Y'all one thing we didn't talk about this, and I don't even know how we would know the answer to it, but I wonder if in Japan it's more or less common for male queer authors to use female pseudonyms or vice versa when they write for strictly for BL.
That's actually very interesting.
Because I actually would think that I am constantly reminded of is that there is a very long history of just using pseudonyms in for mangaka that I only kind of became hip to the last like 4 or 5 years. I'm like, how come all these people are like they don't show their face? It's not their real name. Because I'm just I'm in the era of like the Toriyamas and
Oda,
whatever. Yeah. But and Oda, right? Like they live out. But like a lot of the next wave are very private.
Yeah,
very private. So I think that's super interesting. I don't think that is there other than like I don't know like Trent Reznor. I can't think of any major American sort of like celebrities, like writers, directors who go by a pseudonym, right? Because like if you were into like, it took me a while. I didn't realize like Nine Inch Nails was actually not a band. It was just Trent Reznor who.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Exactly. I was like, oh shit! It's literally just Trent Reznor.
Oh.
Yeah, so like stuff like that is it may have been more common with authors. Like pen names for authors is definitely, a thing. But in this day of like microwave celebrity, it's very interesting to me that like in Japan, when it comes
celebrity. Oh my God.
Yeah, ain't it though?
That is so true.
Like that in Japan, a lot of these mangaka either they go by pseudonyms or they use their actual name, but they will hide themselves in public, like wearing outlandish outfits. And like Akutami Sensei is like fucking kills me. This man comes in as Mechamaru. I'm like, bro, just take a picture.
I've seen that shit.
Just take goddamn pictures. There was one woman, I'm not forgetting what she was writing, but I was watching this interview and she came in dressed in a full penguin suit, and I'm just like,
what?
girl, if you don't, yeah. It's like
isn't the Beastars author? She doesn't show her face, right?
Yeah, she used like various animal costumes as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're both all on the same wavelength.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's something that like, you know, happened or on the forums or some shit, and they're just like blah 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 blah. You know what? Harassment is probably so fucking bad.
Yeah,
especially when like people don't like what you're putting out, and they get personal real fucking fast, and they're anonymous, so they feel comfortable hurting fucking people's feelings, and they don't want to feel that. So
right,
or they don't want that brought upon their like friends and family and shit. So I can understand that. But yeah, that's all I have to say for Dick Fight Island. You're just gonna have to find out yourself. You're gonna have to cough up that coin to find out the actual details yourself. You can get it delivered by Amazon. It'll be in an enclosed package. You might see it.
Like you ordering Blue Chew?
Yeah, yo, Blue Chew! Oh my god!
Shout out to Blue Chew. Can we get a sponsorship? Like, I'm ready.
Blue Chew.
Shout out to Blue Chew.
Wow, but yeah, you can do a pickup from Barnes and Nobles. It's at Kinokuniya Books. That's like the Japanese bookstore. Well, I mean, there's one here in New York over by like Bryant Park. I think there's the big one. They opened a brand new one in Brooklyn, but you can find them there. They it will be there. I guarantee you that. But if you want to, and you know what, if you gonna go ahead and you gonna dive into Dick Fight Island, you might as well read Titan's Bride too. Like, just go ahead and dive deep into the hole. Oh god.
Oh boy.
Ooh.
Oh boy.
Ooh.
Leave it in.
Okay.
All right, let's go to recommendations.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my god. I don't even. Oh wait, what the? Oh. Okay. So. I know. I don't even think I recommended this like when it first came out earlier this year, but like I feel like recommendations just turn into like gaming time or whatever. But whatever.
That's fine.
It is what the fuck it is.
I got some anime recommendations this week, so we good.
Final Fantasy XIV's new PvP is like perfect. It's perfect. Now I'm not saying this as someone who is like a hardcore min-maxer PvPer. I'm saying that what they did was with this new patch, because next to no one played Final Fantasy XIV PvP. Like, it was a very niche community. What they did with this patch was completely different from World of Warcraft, which is World of Warcraft, they balance like a class's abilities for PvP and PvE within all the same abilities. Final Fantasy literally was like, nigga, you got like 25 abilities, you got 5 now. That's all you got in PvP. And there's a new mode that's similar to Overwatch, where you have to like, you know, what is it? The thing where like the thing is moving. It's like moving to a checkpoint. Once you move it all the way to the other person's checkpoint, you win. Payload. Stay on the payload, niggas. Stay on the fucking crystal. But anyways, you move it. The matches are like 5 minutes. They go fast. Once you start learning how to like, because your class plays almost completely differently. Like, you have to read the tooltips because, like, some abilities, they got condensed or combined with other things. So if you just go in there spamming, I mean, yeah, you'll do shit. But, like, if you go in there and you know exactly what you're doing, it's so much fun. And then even when you lose, you're like, oh, that was just 5 minutes. And you just queue back up. And you go again and again and again and again. Like, the endorphin from it are so much fun because I've had so many clutch battles. I've had so many draws, like, where shit's just, like, popping off. And you're just like, I don't know who's going to win this shit, but I'm about to go kill that bitch again under that much hoe. Like, how dare you? How dare you? And it's just fun. And also, in typical Square Enix or Yoshida interaction, it's just like, they are protecting everyone. You cannot chat in it. You can say hello. You can say hello. You can only chat in the PvP match with predetermined like phrases. It's like 5 of them. So it's perfect. Like, if you fucking up, you fuck up and you leave the fucking match. And ain't nobody saying shit about it. Because guess what? It was 5 minutes.
In and out. Over. Yep, get it done.
You're in and out. And no, like, if you got time to rage at me over a fucking match that not even all of them go 5 minutes. Like, if y'all getting washed Y'all are out of there in 45 seconds.
That ain't bad. That's why I can't play League. League be like, oh, like my home be like, oh, it's easy. I'm like,
no.
bro, these matches take like
45 to an hour. Imagine, I played League back in like 2000. What's it called? League Junior. I played League back in like 2010, 2011. Like before they started, like when they first started doing the tournaments and shit like that. Y'all, those matches used to be minimum an hour and 15 minutes. Minimum.
Yo, this League is wild because it's the only game I've ever played, like a team game, where if both teams suck, the game takes forever, and if both teams are very good, the game takes forever.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
It's so frustrating.
It is. So. It is. And honestly, it's just so addictive. It's so fucking weird. Because when you're doing good, you're just like, fuck yeah, like the time I invested, like actually is paying off. But then it's like, but if you're not a streamer, or you're not making money from this shit, then it's like, nigga, you just spent so much time.
Hours of your life.
I remember that there was
one
point. I remember there was one point that I was playing ranked league, and like my hand was going like this, and I was like, nigga, no, you're not having fun no more. You're not having fun no more, nigga. Like, you gotta stop. So I stopped playing for like 2 years, and then I tried to come back, and someone had hacked my account and tried to sell it. And so then the Riot deleted my account because they were like, nah, nigga, we found it. We know you got hacked, but the account got sold technically, so we have to delete it based on the term of service. So I was like, but if you know that I wasn't the person trying to sell the account, you can give it back. And they're like, no, we can't do that. And I was like, well, bitch, I spent like $700 on these fucking skins and shit. Like, can I get a refund? And they were like, well, the account doesn't exist anymore. And I was like, well, I have billing statements. Right. So I went back and forth. So then I didn't play for another year out of spite because I was like, fuck you niggas. And then, of course, eventually one day my friend was like, yo, queue up. And I was like, ah, shit, here we go again. I was like, okay. But League is just notorious for that time commitment. Even with team fight tactics and like battle chess mode. Those shits can last so fucking long, but there's just some weird gratification with the game that is just like, it's so fucking addictive.
I think it's Stockholm syndrome.
Even if you're shit.
That's my personal diagnosis.
I'm just surprised that people are even still entertaining starting that game. Like, if I hadn't been playing League for like over 10 years now, I wouldn't touch the shit no more. Right. I would look at the way that people talk, or like the way that like the streamers are acting, and I'll be like, I can't do this shit. Like, are you kidding me? There's over like 150 fucking champions, and then I gotta learn like 5 different fucking roles, and I gotta do this. I'm just like, what? But since I played it forever, it's just like, okay, it is what it is. Like, you know, I come back, I find a character that got buffed that's flavor of the month. I'm just like, I'm gonna spam this nigga, and I'm gonna make people rage, and I'm gonna talk about your mama. And then I'm gonna not play for like 3 months. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Great times. That's toxic. See? You see how toxic it is? Just
it already gets back in your brain. You gotta divest. You have to get out.
It's not as bad as Dota 2.
No. that much is definitely true. So I have 2 recommendations. They're both anime recommendations. They came kind of to me as a response to an open question on Twitter from a fairly, well-known Japanese member of the fighting game community, who was looking for something to watch on the train going to and from work because they had 2 hours every day. And my 2 cents, based on the streaming platform that they had access to, was a classic mecha anime that doesn't get enough love. It aired in the United States for a little bit. Not only the first season. Is Technoman Blade, otherwise known as Technoman. It has 2 seasons, one of which was dubbed and aired in the US. The other, which was eventually dubbed, I think only came out as an OVA. It's just like it's one of those weird cases of a franchise that was very popular or moderately popular in Japan, never really caught on in the United States. I remember watching it as a kid, renting the VHS tapes from Blockbuster. and that stuff was tight. It's bloody. It's kind of like a dystopian, post-apocalyptic mecha series. It's awesome. I recommend anyone who's out there who is not familiar with the Technoman / Technoman franchise to go check it. I think both seasons are on Crunchyroll. I believe so. And it's part of that like really underrated wave from the early to mid 90s, right around the time that the OVA boom was like cresting and would eventually crash. But we got a lot of like really cool mecha series because that was where the real shonen type energy was at the time. So that's my first recommendation is Technoman 1 and 2, the original and the sequel. It's about 40 episodes.
Okay.
But my second recommendation is also a mecha series, but also one that more people would be familiar with that I was reminded of in that conversation that aired on Adult Swim very briefly, which was Blue Gender. And that's actually from the... And a lot of people would probably be more familiar with Blue Gender, but I actually rewatched this, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, and was kind of impressed at the way the show dealt with the idea of like PTSD and depression, because that was an overriding theme that I missed.
I was way too young when I watched that shit, so all that shit flew off of my head. So I feel like
I didn't. I also missed out on this as well because in my head I was like, oh, it was. I won't say that I thought it was boring, but my memories of it were just like robots shooting spiders or like weird like plant alien insect things, which ironically is very similar to Technoman because the enemies there also have a very like insectoid alien kind of physiology to them, though it probably has more influences from a show like Guyver, the Bio Booster armor series, another one I would recommend, even though that series is all over the place in terms of there's a older OVA, there's several live action adaptations, there's a movie which I actually do recommend, the 96 movie. It was made in Japan. It's just got a lot of cool practical effects for like the Zoonoid transformations and Guyver and whatever, but we're getting off topic. Blue Gender is another series that I come back to. It was released in sort of that other heyday of anime, that 99 to like 2001, 2002, where things were kind of switching over to more digital production. I think that it hurt a lot of series because they wound up looking very similar to each other. And Blue Gender is kind of one of those that kind of like falls into a category that a lot of folks remember the name, and they may sort of kind of remember some of the designs, but they definitely don't remember the story, which is about like a fish out of water scenario with like a warrior who was, you know, put in suspended animation right before some aliens overran the earth, and then comes back later on as sort of like the only person with a natural immunity to the whatever's taken over the planet. So I would just say that like I don't know if the dub holds up as well, but definitely the Japanese language version of the show was a way better experience on the rewatch than I remember watching it on TV. And again, that may just be because I wasn't picking up what the show was putting down, and then also because apparently Adult Swim edited the shit out of it. And again, I don't even remember watching it originally. So like there's a lot of like graphic violence and nudity, and there's like sex scenes in it and all this other shit. And
that never made it out.
If you had told 15, 16-year-old me that there was like an uncut version of this, I would have tripped over myself trying to find it, but but I didn't know. So so I also wanted to recommend that as a rewatch. Now, I'm not 100% sure where you would be able to watch this now. It might be a part of Crunchyroll. I've never really gone and looked it up. The only place I saw that you could watch it legally was via Amazon Prime, and that's most likely because it was a co-production between AIC and TBS, and it ultimately aired in the US on Sci-Fi Channel and Adult Swim. That's kind of its trajectory. So those two series are my anime recommendations. There's a filth recommendation that's in the manga category that I've been reading. I don't know if I'm willing to actually put my name behind this one. I ran across it pretty randomly, and oh man, it's a trip. The English translation is one of those like long like light novel shits. It's like, is my reality a love game? I thought it was a lifelike game. It's got an even longer Japanese name, which I'm not going to subject anybody to here. The premise is your very typical wake up in a death game, but the main character is told by the system that he has to assault women in order to move on to the next stage.
Oh my god.
So I was ready to be like, fuck you, we're not doing this shit. However, it's kind of a swerve because while it is true that all of the antagonists are, well, not all of them. For the most part, most of the antagonists are all women, and it is technically more of like a ecchi death game series. What the plot and the show and the lore of what's going on mean by assault is not what it appears to be.
Not sexually assault them.
The only problem that I have is that the way in which the main character finds out that that's not what the game is about is by attempting to commit a sexual assault.
I knew it. Oh my god. Okay.
That's my only problem with this series. Like, as a concept, I can deal with a lot of the other stuff, and it uses terminology and some frankly like pretty creepy like rules that if you read them out loud and you read what they do, you're like, oh fuck, no, I can't, ain't no way. But I did actually get through like the first 3 stories that are a part of the connected plot, and actually it's somewhat inventive. The basic idea is he wakes up in another world. It's a gamified system where he can spend real money on abilities that are labeled like items. So he can do things like buy a telescope that allows him to look through walls, or like a knockout spray, or like all kinds of things that are used, and in another context would be like, oh, this is like Japanese real life sexual assault bullshit. But in reality, the targets in the game are all people who are running. They're part of this much bigger connected story of murder and drugs and whatever. So these are all like villainous people, and instead of like assaulting them, what the game means by assault is give them their just desserts, which in general means outing them to the police, having them whatever trauma that turned them into the bad person that they became, they have to get their comeuppance for that thing. So there's like the first character he runs into who has like a really deep story is inhabiting the persona of a friend who she drove to suicide in their hometown, and is using her identity in order to do a bunch of like, wild and illegal shit. And so all those tools are not meant to be used to actually attack the person. They're meant to be tools to investigate who this person was, what they did that was so evil, and then uncover enough secrets that the person could be brought to the point of crisis where they realize that they've been outed, and then dealt with in the, karmic kind of way.
Wow. That does sound interesting, but what a way to intro into it.
It's fine, but it's that first step where I'm like, this main character is a piece of shit. So like it's hard for me to move past that to actually recommend it. But when I was reading, I'm like, let's see how far this goes. And A, it did not go as far as I thought it would. And then B, it kind of pivoted quickly into what the real story was. I'm like, well, why didn't you just lead with this? But there's plenty of like ecchi
shock
shit.
Value.
Yeah, there's like a lot of like booby ladies, but then there's a twist that came pretty early where I was like, oh, okay, I'm genuinely interested now in what this world has to offer. So that's my recommendation, sort of, not really. It's my life is a romance game. I guess that's the short version. Give it a look. If it's too much for you, just walk away. So that's it.
All right. Well, that's will be all for this week, I guess. You've got things you might want to order, but just letting you know. Anyways, if you haven't already, make sure you follow us on Twitter, anime_savants, and Instagram, just regular anime savants. Also on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Wait, I already said Instagram, TikTok. But yeah, I don't know what's going on. The Twitter's blowing up right now. Hopefully it's not a clip that did something bad, but I'm pretty sure it's whatever it is. It's probably the thing where I asked you guys about guests. So if it's that thing, then you can go respond to the thread and tag yourself so that I can make a list and start reaching out to y'all. But yeah, that's all for that thing. All right, brain farts.
That's fine. You can always hit me up at Neural Handshake on Twitter. Things have been real nice. I've appreciated some of the conversations that have come out, through the podcast and some of the response and stuff we talk about. That's all we gotta do, guys. Just keep it nice and positive, right?
Oh yeah, you guys were like, I saw whatchamacallit, the YouTube. I don't know what was going on with that. It wasn't the Gunpla episode. What the fuck was that? Oh, the Tower of God episode. A lot of y'all went and watched that on YouTube, so thank you for watching and listening in over there, and also on just like the podcast platforms too. But yeah,
we appreciate it.
We do. All right. That's all I got. Bye.
Peace out.